Welcome to Techno Sapiens.
All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at the invisible infrastructure that literally powers our daily lives. We are completely surrounded by this massive web of engineering, but honestly, we hardly ever give it a second thought until the lights go out. So today, we're going to demystify a total game changer for the grid, the power substation journey.
Think about this for a second. What actually happens to electricity before it reaches your home? You walk into a room, flip a switch, and boom, it floods with light. You plug in your phone and it charges instantly. But getting that raw power from a massive power plant all the way down to a safe, usable format right there in your wall outlet, that takes a totally crucial middleman. And that middleman is the substation.
We're going to map out this whole journey today by tracing the exact flow of electricity through 4 quick steps: high voltage arrival, transformation, protection, and finally, distribution.
Okay, step 1, high voltage arrival. Let's look at the exact moment that raw power hits the facility.
Because power plants are usually located way out in the middle of nowhere, pushing electricity across those vast distances can mean massive energy loss. To stop that bleed, the power actually travels at these crazy, dangerously extreme voltages. It's incredibly efficient for the long haul, but as you can probably guess, there is absolutely no way it's ready to safely power your house yet.
Which brings us right to step 2. Enter the transformer. This is where the facility's first major job kicks off.
Inside the substation, these massive transformers are working tirelessly to bridge the gap between two completely different states of electricity. They step down that incredibly high transmission voltage we just talked about, crushing it down to a much lower, much safer voltage for the local region. It's basically like taking a raging, chaotic river of energy and funneling it into a perfectly controlled, steady stream.
Moving on to step 3, switchgear and system protection. Because, let's be real, the transformer can't handle all this alone.
Every heavy-duty system needs top-tier security. Meet the grid's personal bodyguards, the circuit breakers, disconnectors, and protective relays. We call this whole setup the switchgear. These guys are out there 24/7, constantly scanning every single detail for short circuits or dangerous faults that could threaten to fry the local grid or surrounding infrastructure.
And the wildest part of this protection system? The sheer speed. We are talking milliseconds. If those protective relays spot a fault, the system doesn't wait around for seconds or minutes to respond. It physically disconnects the bad section in fractions of a second, literally faster than you can blink. That lightning-fast reflex is exactly what stops a tiny fault from cascading into a grid-wide disaster.
Finally, step 4, distribution to your home. We've reached the last stage of our journey.
At this point, that tamed, perfectly safe electricity is finally ready to leave the substation. It heads out through the distribution lines. Those overhead wires or underground cables you're used to seeing running down your street. The power is now perfectly calibrated to safely travel to local businesses, right through your neighborhood, and eventually straight into the wall outlets of your living room.
So stepping back to look at the big picture, the substation as the ultimate traffic controller.
If you lock one thing into your memory today, let it be this. A substation is literally a highly advanced traffic cop for electricity. It sits right at the intersection of massive regional power lines and your local neighborhood grid. It masterfully directs the flow of energy, it tweaks the voltage to keep things safe, it routes power exactly where it needs to go, and it fiercely protects the whole network.
I actually really love this quote from the engineering source Techno Sapiens. They said, without substations, delivering electricity safely and efficiently would be almost impossible. They totally hit the nail on the head. You just don't get our modern, ultra-reliable power grid without these unsung heroes doing all the heavy lifting day in and day out.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. How many times have you driven past a substation, those fenced-off lots full of gray boxes and humming towers, and had absolutely no idea it's the only reason your lights turn on? Well, the next time you spot one, you'll know exactly the incredible engineering journey happening right inside, taming raw power and directing it right into your life.